Hello, guys. This is going to be a summary of Breaking Bad Season 1. Now, in the beginning of the show, Walt is working a dead end job at a car wash. And, he's working this job because he really wants his family to be able to pay their mortgage. And, they're kind of strapped for cash in a way. And he's working another job which he's very overqualified for, which is a teaching position at a high school teaching chemistry. If you look at Walter's character, you'll see that his whole life up until this point, which is season one of the show, he's somewhat of a pushover. He's watched all of his contemporaries and his colleagues in college outshine him in every way. He contributed to winning a Nobel Prize in physics. But I guess this teaches and shows the audience and tries to enable the audience to sympathize for Walter's shortcomings. You kind of want to see him succeed. It's like Jesse. We root for him even though he has all of his problems. In the first episode of the show, we see Hank offer Walter a ride along to bring some fun into his life. Walter accepts, and he then proceeds to see Jesse jump through a window to avoid the DEA. After he's done having some fun with the neighbor girl, it's pretty funny. After seeing how much money can be made in the drug business, and coupled with the fact that Walter has lung cancer, he opts to start a business relationship with Jesse Pinkman. Now, Jesse can't refuse because Walter gave him an ultimatum. He said it's either that or Walter would, give him up to the DEA. But Walter knew that he was just bluffing. There was no way he was going to give up Jesse Pinkman to the DEA. It was just a ploy to get them to work together, and it worked. And they start a business relationship, with Jesse Pinkman. And his character is very interesting. We'll discuss his character in a future video. Very interesting character development. Now, after they cook their first batch, they attempt to sell the meth to a low-level distributor called Crazy 8. Crazy 8 is another good character that I will discuss in a later video. After Pinkman goes to Crazy 8, Crazy 8 knows that Pinkman isn't really, he's not a chemist. There's no way that Pinkman cooked a batch this potent because he doesn't know the chemistry behind it. He's a low-level drug dealer that made trash products with, chili powder inside meth? I mean, he wasn't making good stuff. He was making mediocre, low-level stuff. So Crazy 8 knows that Pinkman couldn't cook a batch of this quality. So later on, they, threaten Pinkman, they help, and then Pinkman has to help them track down the person that actually cooked the batch, which was Walter. It was of course over the barrel of a pistol, but Crazy 8's mind is thinking now. He's thinking, okay, this guy can cook a great batch, but can I trust him? Maybe not. So, the quality of the meth they produce will also make them competition. So, Crazy 8 and Emilio, they opt to kill the both of them. Now, Walt, using his expertise in chemistry, he, finds a way to get them to go into the RV, and he eventually poisons them with phosphine gas. That phosphine gas is very, very potent. In my opinion, this is a turning point for Walt's character in the show, since up until now, he has only killed someone in self-defense. You guys remember when he, made that phosphine gas when he was in the RV. He wanted to kill both Emilio and Crazy 8. Sadly for him, he killed only Emilio. Crazy 8 was able to survive, I guess because he didn't breathe in enough of that phosphine gas for it to be fatal. Now, Walter is in a bit of a conundrum. He's at a somewhat of a crossroads, somewhat of a problem here. He has a problem because he can either kill Crazy 8 because if he doesn't kill him, he may come back and kill his rest of his family for revenge. Come on, guys, like he just killed his partner Emilio. But, Crazy 8 didn't really care about Emilio because, Crazy 8 is the one that snitched on Emilio. He's the one that snitched on him. Or he could set Crazy 8 free, since it's the right thing to do morally. Walter is kind of grappling with his emotions and his feelings, and He's trying to have, he's trying to come out of this clean. He's questioning whether or not he's made for this kind of business. He's really questioning himself. He's really looking into himself here. So, in the end, he notices that Crazy 8 took a sharp piece of plate that broke because he passed out from, complications of his lung cancer. So, in a way, the situation resolves itself. That's how he is able to justify killing Crazy 8. He tells his inner self that it was either him or me, and he chose him. After he kills Crazy 8, it's kind of crazy, how it all panned out. Just the flip of a coin is what stood behind him and death. I think between him and killing Crazy 8. But I think if Jesse was the one that, got heads, because heads was where, if Jesse had heads, he flipped. If Jesse got heads, he wouldn't have killed Crazy 8. I don't think Jesse would kill Crazy 8. Jesse, he didn't really kill anybody. The only person he killed in the show was, Gail Bedinger. But that's for another video. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Since Walter is no longer able to distribute this meth that they are cooking because they have lost their distributor, they lost Crazy 8 and Emilio, now they have to find someone else to peddle the meth to, because a large portion, pounds of meth, cannot be pushed quickly because there's no one person that's going to take that amount of meth. It could raise some eyebrows from the police. So Jesse and Walt, they put their heads together and they realized that they need a distributor. They need a high-level distributor that is willing to take large amounts of crystal meth, sell it for a industry price so that they can get rid of their inventory. They don't want to hold their inventory. Now, we then get introduced to the lead antagonist of the show, the final boss, as you would say. The final boss in those games that you play like Mario Kart. You have a final boss, right? This is the final boss. This is the final boss of the whole season. It is a man named Tuco, who is a high-level distributor. Tuco is a completely different kettle of fish compared to Crazy 8 and Emilio. If you watch Better Call Saul, you'll see that Crazy 8 was actually working for he was working for Tuco. Now, Jesse goes to meet Tuco with the introduction being made by his friend Skinny Pete. Seeing that Jesse isn't valuable to him and neither is he the person that cooked the batch, Tuco beats the crap out of Jesse to kind of mark his territory. You know how dogs mark their territory? They piss all over the yard to try and, empower their position and make their presence known to other dogs. So he beats the crap out of Jesse, feeling that Jesse isn't worth his attention and his time. And, he's not valuable to him because we know he didn't cook that batch. He's known for cooking chili pea powder. Now, Tuco is a homicidal maniac that has no qualms about killing his way to the top. An individual such as this is to be avoided, or at least you need to pander to their own self-interests. Walter tracks down Tuco because he needs to A, take revenge for his partner, B, he needs to sell this batch. There's no one else that's going to take a product this much. There's no one else that's going to take this much product. So he kind of has to do this. So what happens is afterwards is that Walter tracks down Tuco. He goes inside the hideout. He has this bag full of mercury amalgamate, which is very explosive. And he uses that as a bargaining chip to get out of the place alive and to receive payment for the product that Jesse, gave to Tuco. And he gets $15,000 for his partner's pain and suffering. So he achieves two things from coming to Tuco. He gains his respect, and he, gets known in the community because he tells him that his name is Heisenberg. He gets known as the man called Heisenberg, which is, the cook, the guy that sells crystal meth. Now, word is going to spread, and that's going to help him in the drug business. This is another turning point for Walt's character. It's the first time that he used violence to get and achieve his own methods. He comes out unscathed, receives his share for the batch they cooked, and that's all she wrote. He gets the money out and he ends up getting his money. Now, in the last episode, they end up seeing this man get beat up and beat to death because he questioned Tuco's character. He questioned Tuco's authority. You know, Tuco's a very, very insane person. You do not want to cross him. You know, Jesse and Walt, they start to realize that they are expendable here. They are very much expendable, and they need to watch out because Tuco is a very pressurized individual. You know, he is not to be crossed, and they start to realize that in the next season. But anyways, that's all for now, guys. Make sure to share this video, hit the subscribe button if you would like to see more content like this, and you know, thanks for watching. I'm out. Peace.